Peacemaker Season 2 will play a big part in Man Tomorrow. And also I have some updates about Man Tomorrow. Let's get right into this. So the best place to start is with James Gunn saying that Peacemaker Season 2 directly sets up Man Tomorrow. So let's read what the context of this was, because as expected, there's on threads, just like how James Gunn just addresses everything else. So from what you can see in this image, the screenshot is that someone said no, Season 2 is going to set up the movie. We'll probably see Lex in one of the last 3 episodes. And then someone responded by saying not true. Not true. If there's projects in between, it's going to build up to it, but not directly. And then blah blah. Okay, if the projects in between don't heavily feature Superman aside from cameos or other brief scenes, it could be true. And James Gunn responded to the person that said, not true. If there's projects in between, it's going to build up to it, but not directly. And then James Gunn said directly. And this is how we got the confirmation that Peacemaker Season 2 will directly set up Man Tomorrow. So we know that going into this, that Peacemaker, James Gunn was saying, man, like he loved this project, but also how episodes, 6 to 8 in particular, he's not letting anyone, even his publicist, watch them because there's very big spoilers. The critics didn't even get to see them. Everyone's only seen up to episode 5. So yeah, we just from that we knew, okay, there's gonna be very big stuff, and James Gunn was teasing a lot of cameos, big stuff in those episodes. We could see Superman, Lex, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, a lot of different possibilities, Creature Commandos. But yeah, that's why the last 3 episodes, they're not going to be, or why people haven't seen them. And now with the new context, you think about it, James Gunn was also saying that Peacemaker Season 2 sets up the DCU in a big way. And before knowing this, we're like, okay, what does that exactly mean? What does that exactly mean? Now we know, because it's going to set up the Superman. I know it's not a sequel, Superman sequel, but just making it easier, we'll call it a Superman sequel. But now it makes sense, because Peacemaker Season 2 is going to set up Man Tomorrow. And that's going to... So that right there is huge. And he's saying, no, it's not like an indirect thing. This is directly. And then it gets people thinking, wait, wouldn't that mean that I need to watch that I would need to watch Peacemaker Season 2 in order to watch Man Tomorrow? Well, here it is. James Gunn, he also addresses that. And yeah, we got some controversy here. So James Gunn on connection between Peacemaker Season 2 and Man Tomorrow. So he responds to this person that said, hey, there's some weird concerns about this R-rated DC project. Shouldn't be the main direct tie-in to the main share arc with Superman and Man Tomorrow, which are obviously PG-13. And you've said it many times that you don't have to watch Peacemaker Season 2 to understand Superman or Man Tomorrow, correct? Like shared universe aspects are just more context to that individual story? ? So this is a very valid response, because if you're saying, James Gunn's saying that there's a direct tie-in from Peacemaker Season 2 into Man Tomorrow, that means that we're probably going to get Superman, probably going to get Lex, a lot of stuff like that. And we already were thinking that we're going to get them. We'll get into that later. We're already thinking that they were going to be in these episodes, but this is pretty much just like confirming it, essentially. It's being like one of the most well-known, worst-kept secrets, if you get what I'm saying. And James Gunn responded by saying, that's right, as I said countless times, you can watch every project by itself, of course. Just like you can watch Peacemaker by itself or watch Superman without seeing Creature Commandos. But Man Tomorrow and Peacemaker Season 2 are very, very connected. This is a kind of weird one, because I feel like James Gunn's kind of just contradicting himself. At the first bit of his response is saying, yeah, each project's individual, you don't need to watch the stuff to, like, you don't need to watch one project to understand the next one or something like that. You know, like he lists here, you need to watch like the previous projects to understand Superman. He said that. But then he also says, but Man Tomorrow and Peacemaker are very, very connected, so you essentially do need to watch it. Because if you don't, then you're not going to understand. You're not going to get the full, stakes, the full context of it. It's not going to click. You're not going to like it as much. Literally, you're not going to understand what's going on. So you pretty much do need to watch it. And the main concern about this, first of all, this response is kind of weird. I think James Gunn should say this is an exception. I think that's a bit easier. Yeah, this is the one project that's an exception. But here's the reason why he's not saying it. At least this is what I think. And maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but I feel like a lot of people are thinking the same thing as me. He's kind of contradicting himself. But besides the point, the main concern is that Peacemaker is an R-rated project. So with that, you're going to have a lot of kids, obviously, that watch Superman. And Peacemaker Season 2 came out, and I'm guessing there probably were stories or something like that about, I guess, kids watching with their parents, and maybe the parents not even knowing that. But then again, you say that's on the parents because they should know, they should do their research, whatever. But still, you're gonna have a lot of kids that are gonna watch Peacemaker season 2, and just because they want to know, will go like understand Man of Tomorrow. So, and even for Superman going to Peacemaker season 2, right? Because it directly ties into that as well. So that's kind of concern there, because the Superman's PG-13, it's a movie, that's fine. But then you have Peacemaker season 2, which if he is literally saying it's a direct tie-in, it kind of, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't bode well to say the least, because not only is it like a different rating thing, so it doesn't work for everyone. That's one problem. Another problem is that he's kind of going against his, I guess, his rule for the DCU essentially, but he's just making it confusing. I don't have a problem with him going against the rule. That's fine, but just say it outright, man. Just say it outright, because it just makes it more confusing like this. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Let me know what you guys think down below about this. But I'm fine with it personally. I just wish it was more clear. But yeah, I know some people, like if you're a parent or something, you might have a problem with this. But I think it's great. Peacemaker season 2, bro, it's great. This far it's been great, and we're not even at the pinnacle. Episode 6 to 8. That's where it's gonna be hype. That's where the big stuff's gonna be. And I think the next best part to talk about is out this. There's an image that came out recently of John Cena and Superman, right? Obviously David, and we know that these two, Peacemaker season 2 that is, and Superman, they're filming side by side simultaneously. They're across the street from each other, literally. So in this picture, we can see John Cena. He's wearing the same outfit that he was wearing in episode 3. So this takes place around then, and also it could be just a fact that since they're filming literally like so close to each other, it was known that they were hopping in and out, seeing each other, the cast, the crews. So that's very possible. Very possible. Could just be that. But let's think about it. With the even, like, we were thinking about this before, but now that James Gunn said that Peacemaker season 2 is a direct tie into Man Tomorrow, we know that he already had his plan already written like that for, when he made the show, but he's just confirming it now. So this has been the plan the entire time. So with that being said, it's not far-fetched to think that we're going to see Superman and maybe even Lex, or at least one of them, in episode 6 to 8, which is why he's not letting anyone watch it. And if you're saying it's a really big cameo, you gotta assume it's your 1A, your number one option in the DCU, your biggest star, which would be Superman. Like, that makes the most sense. And because it's a direct tie-in, the show season 2 of Peacemaker is a direct tie-in into your Superman movie, right? Like, just think about it there. Like, it only makes sense. And it was so convenient because David could literally just do a shoot one day, or maybe on his off day, go across the street and literally just shoot the cameo. Because I highly doubt he'd be in the episode for that long anyway. So it would be maybe like 5 minutes at most. Even then, I think that's how long. But still, I think it would be a very quick thing. They could have done like within a day or so, right? So it's not far-fetched, but let me know what you think about that down below. And now we'll talk about this. So the title for Superman sequel is just called Man of Tomorrow. So a lot of people, including me, were thinking like, oh wait, maybe it's just he's just calling it that. Like it could be Superman Man Tomorrow, because that would make more sense. You want to get, I feel like it just gets more attention, more eyes on it. People that don't know about it can automatically just connect it to Superman there and be like, okay, this gives it credibility. Maybe, like, I don't know, it just gets more people interested in it, going out to see it perhaps. But James Gunn says, someone asked him, is the title Superman movie just Man Tomorrow, or is it Superman Man Tomorrow? And also just because of other medias for Superman Man Tomorrow, of course. But he said just Man Tomorrow. So that's an interesting choice. He's sticking down on this, and I feel like the title just being Man Tomorrow, not Superman Man Tomorrow, directly ties into the fact that he's saying it's not a direct Superman sequel, right? I feel that if it was, obviously then it makes sense as Superman Man Tomorrow. But this signifies that it's not a Superman sequel, not a Superman centric movie, which Jerry said. He said Superman has a big role in it, obviously, but it's like a co-lead type thing, which is what we found out, because it's a co-lead with Lex, of course, with Nicholas. So this makes sense to me. And the next thing is that James Gunn, bro, this guy's a machine. He said the script for Man Tomorrow is finished. And just recently, you're probably like, what? How? Didn't this guy just say like 2 weeks ago that he was like writing the 60-page treatment for it, like the detailed treatment? Yeah, no. That's right. That's what he said back then, like 2 weeks ago, not even. And now this guy's saying he's done. So this guy, I've talked about some of my videos before. James Gunn is machines. Think about what he's done in the last like 5 or 6 years or so. So much. This guy just doesn't stop working. This guy, like, I don't even know how this guy gets sleep because he also does the press tours and everything. He's heavily involved. And this guy, James Gunn, is setting a very good precedent. He's making sure the DCU is set up for, just for a good run. Just make sure it's set up properly because the beginning is very important, and he knows that. Anyways, he said on Threads all of it. Or someone said to him, how much portion of Man Tomorrow have you completed writing? And he said all of it. Just in the necessary and lengthy stage of rewriting and rewriting some more. It's been a lot of fun trying to get some done now before Peacemaker airs because we like to watch it as soon as it comes on. So this is very recent, as you can tell. This is just before Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3 came out. So it's from Thursday, that is. And yeah, so technically he could just, if he was forced to, he could just hand in the script he has right now and just have it done like that. But obviously he's doing revisions, making sure that's literally like the last stage, or one of the last, if you want to put in the checking stage where you just make sure everything's proper. But this is like technically the last stage, just doing revisions, rewrites, where you're reading through it, you're like, okay, maybe this wasn't as good as I thought it was. Let's change this. Or maybe you're like, okay, this is good, but it could be better. That type of stuff. Or he's like, okay, I think I have this person in mind. Maybe I want to add this or take out this. Just stuff like that. Just making sure it's just final. Just making sure it's cohesive, and that's just make sure it's the best it could be. Literally, just like when you're writing an essay, literally the same stuff like that, same process. But it's crazy. This guy's a machine. He does everything, bro. He does, what do you say? He writes like, I forget what he said, but I think he writes like 8 hours a day or something crazy like that. So he does a bit every day. Well, more than a bit, but you get what I'm saying. James Gunn's a machine. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. No wonder they're going into production next year. Okay, in the summer. Because this guy, he's insane. James Gunn's insane. And then the next thing we'll talk about, I think, is James Gunn was asked how much role does Lois Lane play in Man of Tomorrow, and it was confirmed that Rachel will be back in this movie, or in this movie itself. She'll be in it, back as Lois Lane. Okay, and then that's why this person asked it. And then he said she's important. Okay, so take that as you will, and I feel that makes sense. I don't feel like they would just have her just in it just because. James Gunn is always very meticulous about just the way he writes movies. Okay, there's always a reason for having characters in it. Whether it's a goofy reason or not, he's not going to just put characters in it just because, for the sake of it. He's very careful. I mean, he's a good writer, so obviously there's always a reason for everything. But the fact he said it's important, just stay on the lookout for that. And then I guess the last thing we'll talk about is out when Peacemaker Season 2 Episode 3 came out. It was the day of, my bad. It was the day of. James Gunn tweeted, watch the Man of Tomorrow prequel, aka Peacemaker Season 2, airing new episode, blah, blah, blah. And he said it's a prequel, which confirms, just makes sense, aligns with his comments that he said, how Peacemaker Season 2 is a direct tie-in. But saying it's a prequel is literally saying, yeah, you have to watch this, right? So it goes back to the other thing where it's technically a contradiction. I know people are kind of flaming him for that, but it is true. You have to watch this. You have to watch this. Like, I just wish he said that outright. I know it would just get some people pissed off because Peacemaker's an R-rated show. And then that means, like, it just messes up for some people because then some people might not be able to watch it and not understand Man Tomorrow fully. But just say it, bro. Just take the Band-Aid off at this point. It's just better if you do it that way, just be honest. But I do get his point. Yeah, just calling it a prequel just further cements those comments. Anyways, let me know what you think down below. How do you feel about this Peacemaker being a direct tie-in? How do you feel about James Gunn being done? Pretty much writing the script for Man Tomorrow. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next one. Peace.